Welcome students. Now we start the part 2 of collection of data. In part 1 we have already discussed about collection of data, different types of data, that is primary data and secondary data, the sources of primary data and sources of secondary data, differences between primary and secondary data. Now we will come to the next part 2, methods of collection of data. As we know, there are two types of data, primary data and secondary data. So there are different methods of collecting these data. Now the methods of primary data are direct personal investigation, indirect oral investigation, information from local correspondence, telephonic interview, questionnaire, that is also known as mailing method, and schedule, that is also known as enumerators method. The methods of collection of secondary data, there are two methods, published sources and unpublished sources. Published sources are government publications, semi-government publications, international publications, publications from different committees, commissions, private publications, etc. And unpublished sources, then we will discuss later on in this class. Now we will start with the methods of collection of primary data. First we will start with direct personal investigation, first method, that is also known as personal interview. Meaning, the direct personal investigation is the method by which data are personally collected by the investigator from the informants. That means an investigator directly collect the data from the informant. He has direct contact with the informants and then he collected whole data or whatever he wants to analyze, then he collect the whole data from the informants. Like for example, interview taken by any student from the principal, or interview taken by journalist, by any personality, from prime minister or from any star, and etc. So these are known as direct personal investigation, when there is direct contact between the investigator and the informants. Now, suitability of this method, the area of inquiry is limited, maximum degree of accuracy is needed, direct contact with informants is necessary, secrecy of information is significant, and data are required to be original. Area of inquiry is limited because it covers very less area, because there are only two persons, one is investigator and the other is informants. So data collected by an investigator with the direct contact with the informant. So this method is very, it covers limited area. But the information collected from this method are accurate, reliable, original, because there is direct contact. So there is no any chance of personal biasness. Biasness means partialities. So generally suitability and merits of every method are almost same, because now the merits, like the data are accurate, data are original, data are reliable. Uniformity. Uniformity means it facilitates comparison, like similar data we take. Then elastic. Elastic means flexibility, adjustment. That means we adjust, or an investigator can adjust his questions according to the situation, according to the condition. So elastic method. And related data, we will collect information from the informant related to the inquiry. So these are the merits. Now the demerits. Difficult to study vast areas, as I told earlier, because it covers limited area. It is costly with respect to time, money and efforts, because there is direct contact between the informants and investigator. So in that case, an investigator has to go to informant, direct contact with their with them, and in that case it takes a lot of time, lots of money, lots of efforts, etc. So it is economical, time consuming, money consuming and efforts consuming. If the investigator is biased, then the data can lose reliability. If partiality is there, if biasness is there, then data are less reliable, less accurate. And in this method, trained investigators are required. Why trained? Because if any common person, then he goes to prime minister, and if he wants to take his interview, then is it possible? No. So trained journalists are required in that case, so that they can take interview from the prime minister or any Bollywood star or any personality, etc. So trained investigators are required for this method, and the method is very lengthy, obviously, because there is direct contact, so it takes a lot of time. So these are the merits and demerits of this method. Now the next method is indirect oral investigation. Indirect oral investigation. In this method, by which information is obtained orally from people who are expected to possess the necessary information. Under this method, people from whom information is collected are called witnesses. So like for example, data collected from an accident. Like if there is any road accident, there occurs a road accident, then in that case data collected by the witnesses, then orally, like what you have seen, how it occurred, so like this. So in that case, when the data collected from the witnesses, then it is known as indirect oral investigation. Because if we collected the data from whom the accident is occurred, so it is sometimes not possible to collect data from that person, because either the person is not able to give answer or the person is not available to give answer. So in that case, we collect the information from the witnesses. So this is known as indirect oral investigation. Now suitability of this method, the field of inquiry is large because we can collect data from the witnesses. So we can take as many as data, as many as record we required. And direct contact cannot be established because it is not possible sometime to direct contact with the by whom the accident is occurred. So it is not possible sometimes. And informants are incapable due to illiteracy or ignorance. Sometimes informants are not able to give your answers because of illiteracy, or they are not ready to give you answer because of ignorance, etc. So it is possible. Then merits of this method, it again the same thing. This method covers a wide area of investigation. It saves efforts, time and money because we collect data from the witnesses. Then this method is simple and convenient. An investigator can seek expert opinion, so data collected are reliable. Like the investigator collects data from the witnesses. If the witness is very good in communication, or if he gave all the information correctly, then in that case the method is very good. But demerits are also there. The information is obtained from the third party. There is a chance of not getting true information because of carelessness of witnesses, because of partiality, because of biasness of the witnesses. So sometimes it is not possible to give true result or perfect answer. Now the next is information from local sources or local correspondents. Under this method, local persons or correspondents are appointed in different parts of the areas to be investigated. They collect information in their own way and present it to the investigator. For example, radio and newspaper agencies obtain information about any events. So, information from local sources or correspondence, like the best example nowadays, we see that we are getting many information regarding to this situation like COVID-19. So, in that case, journalist collects information from their local areas, from the areas to whom by which they are familiar. So they go area to area, their familiar area, and then they collect information. Like if I am a generalist and then I will collect data from Dimapur, another person who is living in Kohima, then he will collect data from Kohima. So this is information from local sources. Then we give all the data to the agency, to the newspaper, to the radios, and then they will publish the data. So this is information from local sources or correspondence. So like that we collect information. Suitability, again the area of inquiry is large, we can collect data easily because local sources are easily available, and then we can collect data very easily. High degree of accuracy is there, regular and continuous data, we can collect data at regular interval also. Merits, it covers wide area, same, it requires less time, money and efforts because an investigator appoints local sources, local correspondents, and they will collect data and then give data to the investigator. So it is less time consuming, money consuming and efforts consuming. So this method is economical. Regular information supplies, so continuous or continuity remains maintained, and suitable for special purpose. Like nowadays we all know that a big problem is there in world economy. So like that, if for any special purpose we will collect data. But the demerits, sometimes there is lack of accuracy, lack of originality, uniformity, and sometimes if we need data right now, so it is not possible to correct at a time the whole data, and it is not possible to give the correct information at a time. So in that case it takes time to collect data and then to give information. So this method is time consuming, and obviously personal bias is always there. So these are the demerits. Now the next is telephonic interview. Telephonic interview, in this method the investigator asks question over the telephone. This interview can be conducted in shorter time. In present scenario, sometimes it is not possible for an informant or for any person, if he is working at a place and if he gets an opportunity for any interview conducted far off his place, then it is not possible to reach that place in one day or in 2 hours or 3 hours. So it is not possible. So in that case telephonic interview is conducted. In that case investigator takes information from the informant through telephone, then telephonic interview is conducted, and then investigator or takes information from the informant. This is telephonic interview method is the quickest method of data collection regarding primary data. And if I ask which is the best method of data collection regarding primary data, so the best method is direct personal investigation, because in that method there is direct contact between the investigator and the informants. Now the suitability of this method, respondents are reluctant to answer certain questions, means they have to answer. Interview can be conducted in shorter time, and respondents own telephone connections. They have their own telephone connections. So again the merits, the method is economical in terms of time, money and efforts. This method saves time, money and effort. It covers large area, and it ensures high response rate at respondents are reluctant to answer certain questions. but also demerits are always there. This method would be less useful because visual reaction is not possible to see. Like investigator ask question to the informants, but what is the visual reaction of the informant, it is not possible to see. So this is like less useful method, and personal bias is also there. So these are the methods, primary methods. Still we are having two more methods, that is mailing method and enumerators method. So we will discuss about these methods and the methods of collection of data regarding secondary data then in our next class. Thank you.